Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. Welcome back to Clark University. I am Kurt Long, Clark's Director of Athletics. It is with great pride and excitement that I welcome and thank you for coming to Clark Athletics Hall of Fame induction ceremony. 4 former outstanding athletes and 1 key contributor will be honored and inducted today. These 5 individuals accepted the challenge, put in the work, and provided the Clark community with an inspirational example of leadership in athletics. I would like to begin the ceremony with a prayer from Clark University Vice President of Student Life, Kate Zanger.
Strong and caring God, you have blessed Clark University with talented athletes and contributors. This afternoon, as some are inducted into this Hall of Fame, we are mindful of the words of St. Paul when he speaks about those who have run the good race and fought the good fight. These athletes have done that and deserve their reward today. May those who are recognized appreciate that the talents they enjoy and the fame they receive are gifts to be humbly returned to you and to the service of your people. Bless them and each one of us with a persevering spirit to become the best that you call us to be. We pray these things in the name of your Son, our Lord, Jesus Christ. Amen. And it's now my pleasure to introduce to you our president, Dr. Fletcher Lampkin. And if I had a trumpet, I would blare it as he makes his way to the stage. Yes.
You know, I know you're not going to believe this, but I was a 2-sport athlete in my collegiate career. Nothing like the athletes that are before me today. But I found athletic participation a big part of my life. It made my whole college career not only more interesting, but more productive. And I learned things that helped me throughout my life. I have a lot of respect for student athletes, and I've gotten a little older at this point and had a battle with cancer, but I still get along with a little help from my friends. Thanks, Jerry. And I found Clark to be an incredibly warm place that has a special identity and legacy that will make us incredible forever. I intend, as your president, to make that happen. Well, anyway, good evening and welcome to the induction ceremony for Clark University Athletics Hall of Fame. It's wonderful to see all of you here at this annual homecoming event, and we hope that you have been able to participate in other Clark activities as well this weekend. This year, we will induct 5 people into the Clark Athletics Hall of Fame. And as you may already know, the Clark University Athletics Hall of Fame recognizes student athletes, coaches, and contributors who have demonstrated extraordinary performances and achievements in athletics. And as you may already know, several years ago, we renamed our athletic teams, and we are now the Clark Pride. According to our student athlete handbook, Pride also serves as an acronym for the aspirations that the Pride strive for. P stands for poise, and it is defined as demonstrating calmness and self-control in the face of adversity. R stands for responsibility, and it is defined as engaging in that social force that binds the individual to the good of the team. I stands for initiative, which is seen as recognizing and doing what needs to be done before you are asked. D stands for decisiveness, which is seen as finalizing difficult decisions on the basis of what is right, not popular or tempting. And finally, E stands for effectiveness, which is defined as working and performing with purpose and intentionality. These aspirations are more than just words. It is easy to see these values in the lived actions of our athletic community. For example, last year, 104 of our student athletes, representing 17 of our 18 eligible athletic teams, were named NAIA Scholar Athletes. In addition, 16 of our teams earned NAIA Scholar Team status. It's also clear that our Pride athletes are working effectively in the classroom. And on the fields, courts, alleys, and links, our Pride athletes are displaying the espoused values as well. For example, their responsibility and initiative have led to the following accomplishments. Since 2008, women's track and field has qualified for national championship events 101 times. Since 2010, we have had 6 bowlers qualify for the national tournament. Since 2014, men's track and field has qualified for national championship events 26 times. And since 2016, our baseball team has qualified 4 times for the national tournament. And since 2014, our men's basketball team has qualified once for the national tournament, and our women's team has qualified 8 times and won a national championship. In the Dubuque community, our Pride athletes also live our mission and core values by contributing to the common good and by giving back to the community. For example, our student athletes have assisted with Thanksgiving dinner preparation for the food shelter. They have collaborated with local elementary schools on reading projects. They've assisted in the campus-wide cleanup day, and they participated in Into the Streets each year. This list of accomplishments inside and outside of athletic competition is impressive, and the list wouldn't be as long or as rich without the decisiveness, initiative, and responsibility of the coaches and athletics department staff. They work tirelessly to facilitate the spiritual, mental, and physical development of our students in a myriad of ways. They develop game and practice schedules. They arrange transportation, food, and lodging. They promote Clark athletics across the region and across the country. They maintain ever-changing statistics, and they can always be found encouraging student athletes both in their offices as they meet with individuals and at athletic events that occur at locations both near and far. The Student Athlete Handbook captures the essence of our Pride well with this description. Quote, "Within the Pride, each lion expresses individuality and commitment while accepting and taking on a role. Lions' association in a Pride is characterized by strength and protection, with each member responsible for hard work and loyalty. Like lions, members of the Clark Pride are dependable and work cooperatively to achieve their goals. They are determined to support each other with values of honor, humility, and selflessness." The 5 accomplished individuals that we are recognizing this evening for their contributions to Clark athletics are a perfect example of Clark Pride. I offer my congratulations to them, and I welcome them home to our campus as members of the Clark University Athletics Hall of Fame. Congratulations to all of you. And thank you, all of you, again, for joining us in our celebration of these outstanding individuals. I'll now turn things back over to Kurt Long. Thank you.
Thank you, Fletch. We are delighted to honor individuals who are an important part of the history of Clark University athletics. Clark has offered intercollegiate athletics since 1974, when Jane Zanetti guided the first women's basketball team to a 6-9 record. The Clark University Athletics Hall of Fame today inducts its 13th class. For those of you that haven't followed Clark athletics for a few years, we now have 20 intercollegiate sports. We are currently in our 8th year of full membership into the NAIA's Heart of America Athletic Conference. Clark was a member of the NAIA from 1989 to 1995, joined the NCAA in the fall of 1995, and then returned to the NAIA in 2007. The process of organizing and developing criteria for Hall of Fame induction and the nomination and selection process is informative and rewarding for all who serve on the committee, and I would like to thank the people who are instrumental in the organization of this event. I would also like to recognize the Hall of Famers that are present today. Would you please stand? All right. For those that weren't, these are Hall of Famers past: Ellie Koshik, who got in last year, Jill Calvin, who I'll introduce very shortly, and Rick Arrington on top. We're going to add 5 to that today. Clark University and the Athletics Hall of Fame are pleased to honor Krista Heim, Mike Davenport, Kelsey Ernst, Jerry Hansen, and Morgan Wilhelm. These former student athletes and contributors are being recognized for their significant contributions and influence on Clark athletics and the campus community. Each inductee will be permanently recognized in the Hall of Fame display in the Kiel Center and given a tributary plaque to commemorate this special occasion. In honor of induction to the Hall of Fame, this honor is the highest athletic honor bestowed by Clark University. Individuals inducted into the Hall of Fame must have demonstrated outstanding athletic achievement or significant and consistent contribution to the athletics program. They must be persons of high moral character, fine leadership ability, and must be held in high esteem by colleagues, coaches, athletes, and the Clark community. Each inductee will be introduced by a person they have chosen. Introducing Krista Heim is former head track and field coach and Krista's coach, Mason Tangen.
Thank you, Kurt. I'm honored here today to introduce Krista. Krista was a freshman my first year at Clark, being the assistant coach. And the way that her and I got along, it was like a father and a daughter. Only a daughter that should have been in timeout a lot. But one thing about Krista, going through the 4 years, there's no one that was a bigger competitor, a better teammate, a bigger mentor. Her senior year, it wasn't if she was going to win a race, it was by how much. It was if she could drop her time low enough to get a better seat at nationals, and then what to do from there. Krista, you were an outstanding athlete. You turned into an assistant coach for me when I was a head coach in needing of a hurdle coach because I knew nothing about hurdles. Being a 3-time record holder at Clark, a 2-time All-American, qualifying for nationals 12 different times. You are by far the best athlete that I've ever been around. There was no doubt in my mind when I saw that your name came up in the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt about it. You are one of those athletes that when you go in, you're a no-doubter. You're a first ballot Hall of Famer. You're one of those people that, when the time comes, it is, yes, she should go in right now, right away. There's a lot of things I can say about you, but I am not going to. But Krista, you deserve all of this. You deserve it because of the passion you put in, the hard work you put in and day out. You are a leader by what you did on the track, what you did in the weight room, what you did at practice, sometimes by your voice. But yeah, you deserve all of this, everything, being in the Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thanks, Mason. That was a great introduction. Hello, everyone. A few months ago, when Kurt had reached out to notify me that I was voted to be elected into the Hall of Fame, I found myself randomly thinking about my time here at Clark. I was an accounting student, a leader for the Finance and Young Professionals Club, and a track athlete. But most of my memories that came to mind were on the track with my fellow athletes and friends. Being a track athlete taught me one important life lesson that I continue to carry with me. Try and try again. As you've heard today, I had many successes during my career, but it was the failures that really pushed me to success. One moment that really impacted my track career was at the end of my high school senior year. I was seated second going into the finals of the 100 hurdle race, and I false started when the gun went off. I was automatically disqualified. At this, excuse me. At this point, I had still not decided I was going to college to run track. That could have been the end of my track career. Instead, my support system had encouraged me to try again. I didn't let this moment define me or stop me from running track. Sure, I wouldn't have wanted to false start the last race of my high school track career, but instead, I decided to pick myself back up and try again. I decided I would continue to grow as an athlete and join the Clark track team. As my career had progressed in college, things didn't get easier. Learning to sprint at stationary objects efficiently is not something for the weak. There were many days my friends were picking me up off the ground because tripping over a hurdle became my specialty. One race from college I cannot get out of my head was during my sophomore or maybe junior year at outdoor conference. I tripped over the very first hurdle of the race. I laid on the track for a couple seconds contemplating what had just happened, and by then the race had pretty much been over. I got up and walked off the track. Coach Jeremy hurried over to me and asked why I didn't finish that race. I said, "How do you expect me to finish that race with 9 hurdles left, no adrenaline, and a hurt pride? Not to mention the bloody knees and elbows." "We always finish the race," he said. I still regret not finishing that race, and I wish I could go back in time, trip over that first hurdle, maybe not as hard, and finish those last 9. We try our best and we pick ourselves up again when we are knocked down. That's where we reach our greatest potential, by learning from the moments that challenged us deeply as individuals. My hope for all of you today is that when you are confronted with a challenge, when life seemingly knocks you over, because we all know it will, my hope is that you get back up, and you get back up stronger, braver, and more determined to succeed than you were before. I want to thank all my coaches I have had the opportunity to work with throughout my life. They have each impacted me in their own way. Specifically, I want to thank my track coaches here at Clark, Adam, Jeremy, Mason, and Brooke. Without them, I would not have accomplished this great honor I am receiving today. I cannot thank my parents enough for their support over my whole athletic career, which started when I was 3, and especially my collegiate track career. They followed me all over the country, even if it was for only an 8-second race. They taught me to be humble, to work hard, and never give up on my goals. I want to thank my brothers, Nick and Josh, for all their encouragement and support. It didn't go unnoticed. I also want to thank my husband, Nathan, and my son, Crew. You may not have been a part of my life yet during my track career, but fate was always leading me towards you. You have continued to keep me humble and loved in my life as a wife and a mom. And lastly, I want to thank everyone who helped put together this wonderful evening that we all get to participate in, and to everyone who came in to join the celebration. Thank you.
Thank you, Krista and Mason. Introducing Mike Davenport is Mike's former coach and Clark College's first baseball coach, Ed Fan.
Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate all the inductees today. It's a great honor. I especially want to congratulate Jerry Hansen. He's my next door neighbor, so I figure I better cover that right away. But anyway, Mike Davenport, what can I say about Mike Davenport? 1991 was our first season, and he was a leader from day one. You know, we came in, and I got to set this background for you just a little bit. The first year, we had no field. We played our games, and we practiced over at Hempstead High School. We had no indoor facility. We took ground balls in, it was called the Pack, I believe, at one time, for you that maybe remember that. I don't even know what it is now. It was an old gymnasium, an old gymnasium, so taking ground balls on that. The Kiel Center was a picture on a board over on the hill over here. So that was that. Our weight room, and I wrote this down because I don't want to offend any of the nuns that might be in the room here today. The weight room was in Mary Josita Hall in the basement in an old classroom, I think it was at the time. And we had a couple machines and some weights. Our batting cage was in Catherine Byrne Hall in the basement. And it was an old storeroom and had a bunch of old statues in there, you know, Blessed Virgin Mary and Joseph and everything. Sure as shooting, one night somebody hits a rocket, skips underneath the net, boom, there goes the Blessed Virgin Mary's hand right down the hall. I'm thinking, oh God, we'll never win another game again, you know. So that's what we were dealing with. And I only say that because we had 18 players, 14 of them were freshmen, 2 sophomores, one of them's here tonight, Tim Kemp. And to tell you how respected Mike is, he came all the way from Atlanta through the hurricane to get here today. And then 2 juniors, Sam Knack, who's also here tonight, and then Mike. And I cannot say enough about, through all these situations, how Mike was such a leader and a help to the younger kids. I mean, he'd, you know, why don't you try holding your hands up here, or maybe try doing this in your stance or something like that. And he just always, he had, as they say, a baseball mind, which is obvious from his success he's had as a college coach here for the last, 20 years or whatever. And so he was just, he made the game fun. He kept the kids, you know, in line. He'd say, no, you shouldn't do that. You better do this. You know, here's a better way of doing it. And he was just a tremendous leader through all of this. And he always was positive. He always had a positive attitude. We could be going against the #1 team in the conference, and he'd say, oh, we got a chance, you know. Confident was unbelievable. And I'll leave you with this last story. So we're playing, I think it might have been Mount Mercy, Coach, when you were coaching there, right? We're going for our first win at Clark College. It's the last inning. We're up by 1 run. And you might not remember this, Mike, but I remember it perfectly. 2 outs, a couple guys on base. Guy hits a shot towards Mike. And it was loud enough that I could hear it, and I know the other people. He's coming in on the ball, and he's going, I don't think this has got enough. I don't think it's got the distance. You know, so that's the kind of confidence he had. As he's coming in on the ball, he's yelling, I don't think this has got the distance. So, like I said, he was just a positive for those young kids and well-deserving of being in the Hall of Fame. Mike?
Thank you, Coach. Coach Fan is an outstanding human being, and I am very, very fortunate to have an opportunity to have played for him. Coming to find out through conversation that he's involved heavily with the Miracle League that deals with disability all through the country, and he's a large advocate for that league in general, and I know spends a lot of time doing that. So thank you very much. So I was told only 5 minutes, so I purposely wrote nothing down so I can make sure that I can get through 5 minutes. So Coach Fan had alluded to the fact that I am a coach now, what was pretty Funny to me, I was asking the people when we were at the football game, the graduates of Clark, if they were using their degree, and they all said yes. And then they asked if I was using my degree, and I said, kinda. I am a college baseball coach and a physical education instructor, and so my degree here was business administration, and one of the other colleges, we used to have a tri-college system, so I had sport management, which led me down that path, and I have a sport management master's degree that ended up being in a phys ed realm. So kind of using my degree, but I'm using more of the baseball aspect. And would just like to congratulate all the other inductees on your honor. And I know there's a lot of hard work put in for anybody that's achieved anything athletically at your level. So real big thanks to Coach Fan for his story of remembering that. I'm not sure if you remember, this is how I remembered anyway, Coach, is that after a couple practices, he had called Sam and Tim and Sam and I had played at the same junior college. Well, we should say we were on the team at the same junior college. We didn't play a ton. Really, really high-level program, and Coach Fan just said, hey, Coach Roth is going to be here a decent amount, but not every day, so I can kind of tell that you guys know what baseball is supposed to look like, so if you'd like to chime in and kind of be a player coach somewhat. I'm sure the players that were freshmen didn't care for that so much. But my goal every day with our team was to have our team come in and just compete. So you're looking with Sam and Tim. Thank you for coming all the distance that you came to be here. I think the three of us were the only recruited non-freshmen, and then we talked a basketball player who'd never played baseball into pitching for us because we didn't have numbers, Chris Wetstein. He was my neighbor. So I appreciate you guys being here. Seeing my mom and dad up here, they didn't miss any games, very rarely. I know they took a lot of vacation to be at as many games or all games, and always appreciated that. My sister Donna, older sister Donna, is here. My brother Dean is not here, but both of them played sports, and I, as they being 6 years younger or more than both of them, I tried to emulate what they were trying to do, and they just made me a competitive person, and athletics became a large part of it. So for my family that's here, I'd like to thank my wife, Christy, and my two boys, Easton and Rylan, are here. I've got an older daughter who's actually playing club hockey, University of Wisconsin Badgers club team, and they're playing the Gophers, so she definitely should not have missed that. So, but appreciate everybody who's come. And then, in Dan Quirkin fashion, he somehow found out that we were here after I've looked for him for a little while. Dan is the one who recruited for all the sports that had part-time coaches and was my first contact with Clark College, and he was a great ambassador and a great recruiter. So, and then I got to know, since I did coach here for 3 years when I got done playing, I got to know Dan a little bit more and how to like recruit on bar napkins and just learn how to talk to people. So, but our program was, as it was alluded to, it was the very beginning, so it was the first 2 years of us having baseball here, the 2 that I got to play. Sam and Tim both got to play an extra year, so they got to deal with me as an actual assistant coach. When we got done, I was finishing my degree, and Coach Fan had moved on to not coach anymore, but my time here was great. I've been on Clark's campus a good amount of times and have nothing but positive thoughts and memories. They're getting a little bit more distant as I see the youth of the other inductees that played here. So for me, it's trying to remember back to all the things that happened here. But my time here was great. I really enjoyed everything that happened. This was a perfect place for me to be, and I believe God had meant for me to be at this school at the time that I was here. So do also want to mention that I was academic all conference, so my boys hear that you can actually be a college athlete, and pale in comparison to my wife, who is a valedictorian of her class and probably an academic all everything at Duke University. So, but my my thanks to Kurt and to the Hall of Fame committee for going back into the archives and digging up a person from the first team. And then I'll leave you with Coach Fann's probably the biggest feather in his cap, I would say. He had mentioned it, and I didn't really put it together. He had coached Scott Savary, who's a Hall of Famer here. So there's been one draft choice, to my knowledge, from this school, and it was Coach Fann's first recruit, and Scott. And Scott and I get to see each other. My boys play hockey, his boys played hockey, so we run into each other when I'm in Dubuque, and he's in Madison. So thank you very much. I appreciate everything.
Thank you, Mike and Ed. Introducing Kelsey Ernst is former head women's basketball coach and Kelsey's coach, Don Adams.
All right. First of all, I want to congratulate all the Hall of Famers going in today. It's a great honor, well-deserved. I just want to take a short couple seconds to thank and congratulate Jerry. Jerry and I worked together for 7 years. Our offices were right next to each other, and I know the amount of time that man put in doing this job, and it's, can be a thankless job and doesn't pay well and all that kind of thing, and he was the best sports information director that I've ever been around, and he is a great friend, and we still get together monthly along with him and Rick and Casey to talk things over, but congratulations, Jerry, it's well-deserved. Kelsey, thank you very much for asking me to do this today. I'm sure if you go back a little bit, if you were thinking at the end of your first year, I would probably be the last person that you would be asking to come up here because, rumor has it you weren't very impressed with my coaching style and all that kind of stuff, and but that's okay. But thank God that she did, because of all the success that we had during her time here, and those of you that are in the Dubuque area or know the women's program, the success they've had as of late, when we first came here, it wasn't as successful, okay? It took a few years of recruiting to get things going, and with Kelsey and her teammates and that, we were able to go from a very bad program to a very good program, and Courtney and Adam have taken it and, gone to great heights. But back to Kelsey, thank God that you did come back your sophomore year, because that was kind of the year that things started to really to go. We had, some injuries, that type of thing, but she came back. She was the ultimate team player. She was the workhorse that we needed in the post. She was a double-double machine. She was relentless in all that she did. I don't know how she made some of the shots. If anybody had an opportunity to see her play, she uses the backboard more than any player I've ever been around, and I've coached basketball at one level or another for the last 24 years. But she made a high percentage, as you can see from her stats and stuff that are in your programs. But it went in. She was just a absolutely tremendous athlete. And, her sophomore year, I believe we finished second overall in the regular season. We were getting ready to play William Penn, if I remember right, in the first round. And Kelsey sprained her ankle really bad. It was bad. And, talking to the trainer, she probably shouldn't be playing, et cetera. I was thinking about holding her out, and I had a conversation with Kelsey, and she basically just said, I am blank and playing. I'm not going to say what the word was, but she was going to play. She played, and she gutted it out, and, the rest is history. That's just the type of player and person that she was. Kelsey and I, we had a bond that I've never had with any other my other players that I've ever had. We were both deer hunters, okay? So I live in Wisconsin, and deer hunting is the third weekend of November, so obviously being the coach and scheduling, I had to make sure that I was off for deer hunting, on the third week in November. And Kelsey being from Iowa, you know, I believe it was the first week in December, so we either had to have a home game or we had to be off so that she could go hunting with the rest of her family. So we always, you know, joked about it, and I always made sure to try to make sure that, you know, that we both could enjoy doing the things that we want. But that's something I've never had another player there where we've had that type of bond together. So I'm sure she probably continues to go deer hunting with her family, because I know it was a big part of it. It was always a great for her to do. Another thing, you know, during our time together, Kelsey was was a meat eater, and there's a story that goes behind this. So, and I'm sure it probably hasn't changed, but I remember my wife went with me to this. We went to Puerto Rico for a trip, and we went to this one restaurant, and I remember what the inside looks like, but we were there getting ready to order, and Kelsey usually ordered a burger or something of some sort. So she was waiting for her hamburger to come out on the plate, and it eventually did come out, but it was like really whitish looking, so it didn't look like anything like a hamburger was supposed to be, and Kelsey was very disturbed by it, and she was not going to eat it. And from then on, you know, if it didn't say Prime A beef next to it on the menu, she wasn't going to eat it. So still on our trip down in Puerto Rico, we usually would try to go every other year, and we'd fundraise for the money. And I'd always take our seniors out to a nice restaurant if we were on our trip. So we were in Puerto Rico, and Kelsey and the rest of the seniors, we decided, and the parents, you know, we went to the Ritz-Carlton, which was right on the beachside resort right down there in Puerto Rico. And Kelsey made up for it there. She ordered I believe it was the Japanese Wagyu burger, which, if I remember right, I think it was $75 for that hamburger alone. That is by far the most expensive meat that I've ever purchased as a coach at that time. And Kurt, it was all fundraised money, so it didn't come out of the budget. just so you know, we worked all those races. That was what that was for. And just one last story, and I'll get out of here. And to let everyone know how much, I did this last year, how much respect and admiration that I have for Kelsey and how much I valued her opinion. It was her junior year, and we had put together, we had 15 wins for her as a freshman, 20 as a sophomore, 19 wins as a junior, went to, a couple NAIA tournaments during that time. And I wasn't aware of this, but her junior year, a few of the regular season games, and then we were playing in the independent tournament in Cedar Rapids. There was an athletic director from a Division II school that was watching our team and was interested in me as their coach, which I knew none of this during the whole time until the season had gotten over. And so the season gotten over, the athletic director approached me about this job. I interviewed for the job. I came back, I brought Kelsey and another player into the locker room, and I was a very blunt coach. I just asked the question, I have an opportunity in front of me. Do you want me to come back as your coach? Okay, and, anybody that knows me, I wasn't the easiest coach to play for. I was tough, I was demanding, that sort of thing. But, Kelsey and the other young lady, they said yes. Thank God. Because, they said yes. I decided to return, to not go to the other opportunity. And, we had built a great program together. I love these players. I love coaching these players. And I wanted to come back to Clark and end it and be part of what they had built here. They had built a great program from nothing up to a very competitive program. So that tells you how much respect and admiration that I had for this young lady, and I still do to this day. Kelsey, thank you for saying yes then, and yes to Clark during your brilliant four-year career. You're an All-American, and you are now a Hall of Famer. That is well-deserved. Thank you for what you did for this school, your team, and for me as a coach. It was a hell of a ride, and so happy that we did it together. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Coach. I'm incredibly honored to be standing here today to be inducted into Clark's Hall of Fame. It is a privilege to join the ranks of so many players and coaches who have made an impact at Clark University. I'd like to take a moment to express my gratitude to the individuals and who supported me throughout my journey. To my family, thank you for the occasional pep talks, endless amount of support, and believing in me even on the toughest days. I've always enjoyed home games the most, where I was fortunate enough to see my whole family sitting in the stands cheering for the once former Clark Crusaders. To my high school coach, Tim Roth, thank you for shaping my post-play game. You've taught me several of my old favorite moves, the old school moves as they would call it, like the up and under and the reverse layup. You've always challenged me as a player and taught me the importance of teamwork. My favorite saying of his many quotes that he would always share with us is, "The sun don't shine on the same dog every day." I use this quote as a reminder when playing in high school and in college. To my coaches at Clark, Coach Adams and Coach Hocking, thank you for your guidance and mentorship. You pushed me to be the best version of myself, both on and off the court. You taught me that the true strength lies in hard work, perseverance, and teamwork. The lessons I learned from you extend far beyond basketball. To my teammates, this Hall of Fame induction is as much yours as it is mine. Each of you played a crucial role in my journey, and I couldn't have achieved this milestone without your support and shared passions for the game. And then lastly, to my mom and dad, thank you for all your love and support you have given me throughout this journey. From the countless hours spent driving to practices and games, to all the phone calls and conversations that have kept me motivated, you have always been my biggest supporters. Thank you for teaching me the values of hard work and dedication, and for celebrating every milestone along the way. Because there are too many memories I would like to share about my 4 years at Clark and restricted to a 5-minute speech, I am just going to share just a few of my favorite highlights throughout the years. Let's start with freshman year. We were playing Purdue Boilermakers' second game of the season, a Division I basketball team. We're already down by 30 points. It's the first half, and the competition was a whole new level of toughness. As a freshman playing in their second collegiate game, Coach was yelling at me from the sidelines. Remember what you're yelling at me? Stop looking like a deer in the headlights. That comment didn't help at all, let me tell you. And then you sat me on the bench, so. And we also lost by 70 or so points. That was a great game. Anyway, I also cherished our early morning practices and my alarm going off at 4:30 a.m. Till this day, when I set my alarm, I remind myself that it's not as bad as it was when I was in college. But hey, do you remember all the running drills you would make us do? Yeah, so do I. I also remember passing out during practice once or twice because of all the running you made us do. And then some of the teammates also said I looked like a beached whale laying in the middle of the court while everyone had to stop. They did thank me for passing out so we could stop the running. One of my least favorite memories is sitting on the sidelines during practice with a 5-gallon bucket of ice. Within my 4 years of Clark, I had my fair share of ankle injuries and dipping my foot in 10 minutes in, 10 minutes out. Next was those dreaded fundraisers. We would work 12-hour shifts at Joliet Speedways. Those days were long, hot, and tiring. Till this day, I do not care for Joliet Speedways or anything to deal with racing, so Ryan, you can thank Coach for that. But the bright side of working those fundraisers that allowed us to play in basketball in Puerto Rico my sophomore and senior year. Both of our hotels offered happy hour every night. Remember? Coach was always hiding in his room at that time. And to cover my bases, you had to be 18 in Puerto Rico, so we were all good, by the way. But overall, really, some of my favorite milestones and accomplishments as a team was freshman year, we ended the season at 500. That's the first time in Clark since the 2001-2002 season. Then the following year, we were the Midwest Collegiate Conference champs, and we also qualified for nationals 2 years in a row. Overall, these accomplishments might seem little to outsiders looking in, but these were some big achievements in Clark women's basketball program. Thank you once again for this incredible honor. I am deeply humbled, and I will cherish this moment forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey and Don. Introducing Clark's former Sports Information Director of 24 years, Jerry Hansen, is a member of Clark's first Hall of Fame class of 2011, Jill Calvig.
It was the fall of 1997, the beginning of my senior year at Clark, and I had worked in the athletic department since my freshman year, doing odds and ends jobs of working the front desk, helping with team laundry, stuffing envelopes for mailings, and entering stats into spreadsheets after games. This year there was a new face in the Kiel Center. Little did I know that the new guy on campus was going to be my boss for my work-study position, and we would form a friendship that would last to this day, keeping in touch with annual Christmas letters and joking with each other via Facebook Messenger. The new boss was the legendary Sports Information Director, Jerry Hansen. Jerry came to Clark College after 18 years at Briar Cliff in Sioux City. Jerry would continue to devote 24 years to the profession, which required many long days, late nights, and weekends spent keeping track of the Crusaders and later the Pride sporting events. Over the course of his career at Clark, he covered All-Americans, conference champions in different sports, and helped induct many athletic Hall of Fame classes. During his tenure, Jerry helped oversee 3 different transitions between college divisions at Clark. Jerry saw many changes in his career, and perhaps the biggest of these was technology. He started his career keeping stats on paper, updating season stats on a calculator, typing stats on a typewriter, delivering press releases by hand, calling in box scores from phone booths, and developing film and printing his own pictures. In his later years, technology brought email, cell phones, fax machines, in-game computer stat programs, digital photography, webcasts, and social media. It's like Jerry's career began in the technological dinosaur age. Jerry soon became one of my all-time favorite people at Clark. His dry sense of humor could always make me laugh, but it was our mutual love of sports that allowed us to really have a positive working relationship. We could talk about the history of baseball, or talk about how Brett Favre and my beloved 1997 Packers beat up on his Minnesota Vikings that year. I guess a Vikings fan always becomes accustomed to losing, right, Jerry? And he could always get back at me, though, because as of 1997, my Boston Red Sox still hadn't beat the curse of the Bambino. So Jerry loved to talk about his Minnesota Twins and how he went to all 4 home games back in 1987, proudly waving his homer hanky when the Twins won the World Series. I asked Jerry what his favorite memories of Clark was. He mentioned the National Catholic Basketball Tournament that was held at all 3 Dubuque College campuses during Christmas break. He mentioned the addition of a football program for the Pride Athletic Department. Of course, he will never forget getting to cover the Clark University Women's Basketball National Tournament appearance in Sioux City during his last year. It was like his career came full circle, and fitting that it ended where it began, in Sioux City. But what he says he will never forget was the opportunity to work with the many college-age student athletes throughout the years. As much as the athletes blessed Jerry with many memories, Jerry left his impact on them as well. I can truthfully say that my life is better for having had the opportunity to work with Jerry Hansen. His work ethic, dedication, and attention to detail was second to none. Thank you, Jerry, and many congrats from all the Clarkies you have impacted in your most successful career.
Thank you, Jill. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all of today's inductees for this great honor and for the committee for selecting me for this honor as well. I've had a lot of time to think about what I wanted to say today, so I thought this morning I better sit down and jot down a few things. As someone who's been driven by statistics all of my career, I can honestly say that this is my second time in the last 27 years to be down here on this stage. I would try to sit up there somewhere in the back or up there in the balcony when we were supposed to be here for meetings and things. I remember that day that I got a phone call from a member of the Clark coaching staff with an offer about a job interview at Clark. And I remember my job interview with Kate, and later on with a very thorough Bobby Ames. I was offered the position eventually and accepted it. And I remember driving 300 miles across the state of Iowa, where I had served at Briarcliff for 18 years. I drove straight to the Dubuque Golf and Country Club for the Clark Celebrity Golf Classic for my first day on the job. And then Clark President Catherine Dunn introduced me as Clark's new sports information director. I stayed in a room at Mary Fran the first few weeks here in Dubuque, and I laid there wondering, where am I and what had I done? I really didn't know anyone in Dubuque when I moved here. I did know a lot of Franciscan sisters at Mount St. Francis who were at Briarcliff during my 21 years there. And I also checked in with George Helling to see what his daughter Jeannie was up to. I had taken a liking to Jeannie early in my career at Briarcliff and hadn't been in contact with her for 14 years. Well, George answered the phone, and that call ended up with a marriage, a family, and soon to be 9 grandkids here in a few months. I asked Jill to introduce me today because Jill was a student athlete who really welcomed me to Clark. And one of the first stories I wrote about at Clark was about Jennifer Brotzman, an Hall of Famer here at Clark, and I'm not sure if she was able to make it today. Jill and I went through boxes and boxes of old stat sheets and whatever we could find in a closet, in a pack, in a cabinet, file cabinet somewhere, or under the staircase in the Kiel Center. Thanks to those SIDs and coaches who kept those stats early on in athletics here at Clark. I wanted to create a system that would allow us to track single game, single season, and statistical leaders. Eventually, I moved to a stat program that would update the information immediately after a contest for several sports. Of course, there was much more than just keeping statistics. There was covering events, writing bios, writing press releases, updating websites, photography, and social media. Sometimes it involved sitting outside at a baseball, softball, or a soccer game while getting pelted by ice pellets and snow flurries. From time to time, I look at the TH sports schedule now, and I see maybe a Clark home football game, or home soccer games, or maybe a home volleyball tournament, and other things going on in the same day. And I ask, boy, how does Brett do that? And Jeannie says, yeah, tell me about it. So I don't bring that up anymore. I truly loved what I did, working with college students all my life. And I'm not sure if everyone can say it or not, but I can, that I enjoyed going to work every day of my career. And that meant working regular business hours, nights and weekends, from August through May and sometimes into June. My mind was always going 100 miles an hour. And as I was closing in on retirement, and Kurt single-handedly added football to my roster, that made my life much more interesting. But I still pretty much enjoyed going to work every day. I worked with some great people in the athletic department, good friends, Kurt Long, Casey Tauber, Rick Harrington, and former soccer coach Pat Herbst, and then Don Adams. And there were others at Clark, and Daryl, you were one of those people. Don's office was next to mine, and I don't know if you ever saw Don coach, but he was kind of excitable out there on the basketball court. Well, Don's office, like I said, was next to mine, and he would come to work in the morning. I'd say, Don, did you take your pills? And Don would say, yes, I did. And then he'd ask me, he said, did you take yours? And I had the same reply as his, yes, I did. Well, one day, Don got a little excited there at the office, and he was back in his office, and I got up in my chair, and I walked over, and we had the joining wall. So I knocked on the wall 3 or 4 times, and Don says, what are you doing over there? And I said, well, I'm just checking to see if this is a support wall in case things don't work out for you. I really would like to expand my office. But thank you, Don, for the great work you did with women's basketball and for riding the ship. I was also fortunate to have play-by-play announcers Chris Knauer and Doug Wagon cover our games, both true professionals, and were greatly appreciated, and we had many great laughs together. And thank you, Casey, for all of your work with webcasts. I also want to thank the Clark Marketing Department. As I got older, things were changing faster than I was, and the people in the marketing department were a tremendous help for me. I also need to thank Kate Zanger for giving me the opportunity to come to Clark, and to Kate and Kurt for their support during my 24 years here. I also need to thank all the work study students that I had over the years. There had to have been well over 1,000 of them, and they were awesome. Most importantly, I need to thank Jeannie, my son Carter, and my stepkids Cody, Rebecca, and Lisa for putting up with me being gone all the time. Many times I'd get home from an athletic event after 10 o'clock at night. I'd say hi to Jeannie, and then I would open my laptop to start writing post-game stories and updating stats on the website. So thank you for putting up with that. As I mentioned earlier, I loved what I did for a living. I worked right up to the last minute on my last day, updating career stats so they would be available for my eventual replacement. Closing my laptop that last time and turning in my keys and walking out of the Kiel Center for the last time is something that I'll never forget. And I would do it all again if I could, if I was like 50 years younger. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelsey and Jerry and Jill. Introducing Morgan Wilhelm are Morgan's parents, Cindy and Gary Luffring.
Good evening, everyone. Congratulations to everyone, and we're very excited to be here tonight to celebrate Morgan's induction into Clark University Hall of Fame for bowling. Morgan's bowling journey started long before college, and we spent Saturday mornings at Dan's Village Bowl in Brownsville, Wisconsin, and she was only 5 years old. So she enjoyed bowling, but really took it to heart when she qualified for her first Pepsi tournament, and that took our entire family to Florida, so to compete for the Pepsi tournament. And this is when she really decided that wanting to compete in tournaments is what she really wanted to do and to become a bowler. And that's exactly what she did. So we can't even begin to tell you how many bowling tournaments that she competed in during middle school and high school. But this is how our family bonded, and we did that at bowling alleys all the way through her career. She had a determination to always do better. She spent a lot of time practicing, trying to learn different oil patterns, learn the lanes, how balls react to different oil, and always perfecting her form. And she just always, her work ethic for bowling was just phenomenal. She always knew that she wanted to be a nurse, but because she loved bowling so much, she also wanted to be a nurse and to bowl in college. So when it came time to pick a college, she chose Clark University for her nursing degree and to build a competitive bowling team. Clark University became a huge part of her life, and it also became a very huge part of her story. From the Midwest tournaments to cheering at Diamond Joe's, she not only grew as a bowler, but also found a second family in her coaches, her teammates, and her friends. There is one memory that I will always cherish, and this kind of says a lot about the team. You would think that our memory would be that she earned 4 gold medals when she bowled for Team USA, but actually it was the Clark bowling team recognizing Morgan's brother, Troy, who had some disabilities. On the last game of her college career, the bowling alley team presented Troy with a bowling pin that all the teams have signed, and they handed it to him because he was their #1 cheerleader and their scorekeeper. This touched our hearts as parents, and this just kind of shows the exceptional character of the Clark bowling team. Morgan no longer bowls, but her dedication, hard work, patience, and understanding that she learned on the lanes has prepared her for her life after college. She married her college sweetheart, Tim, and she's an amazing nurse at SSM Health Cancer Clinic. She is a wonderful mother of 4 beautiful children, Jackson, who's 6, Madison, 3, and she has twin boys, Carson and Colton, who you probably can hear, that are 2. We are all hoping that they will be the next generations of bowlers, and we kind of have started the 6-year-old to bowl. Now, with all of her success, Morgan has always stayed grounded. She never thought really to be in the spotlight, but here she is anyway. Because honestly, how could we not celebrate someone who's won national titles, led the bowling team? It was on the dean's list all 4 years. Morgan, we couldn't be more proud of you. We love you.
We'd like to introduce Morgan O'Brien Wilhelm.
Okay, we never read our speeches to each other, and they are actually very similar, so I'm sorry about that. So thank you to Clark University. They made it possible for me to be a college athlete and get an amazing education. They worked with me to ensure I would stay on track in classes and also able to do what I love. Although my college bowling career is in the past, my nursing career is my present and my future. Clark University has prepared me and given me all the tools to be the best nurse. Next, I would really like to thank my coaches while I was at Clark University. Bob Hochrein, who's here, was such a great coach and mentor to me all 4 years of my college bowling career. There were endless hours spent at Cherry Lanes, practicing, laughing, and eating Shock Tower pizza. I wouldn't have made it through all 4 years bowling at Clark without Bob's support, so thank you so much. Bowling started for me at the age of 5. It was something I loved to do right away and surprisingly was talented at. Winning a state tournament and competing at a national level at the age of 8 gave me a lot of motivation to become better and better. Throughout middle school and high school, I competed in over 100 state tournaments and many national tournaments. I won nationals in high school, and this is when I realized my dream to bowl in college could be a reality. During my college career, I made many all-tournament teams and advanced to the Intercollegiate National Tournament where I placed 9th, and I was also on Junior Team USA my sophomore year. None of these accomplishments would have been possible without some extremely important people. First and foremost, my parents. I could talk forever about their sacrifices and opportunities they've given me, but they said I only have 5 minutes. So what I really need to say is thank you. Thank you for your commitment to my dreams and being with me every single step of the way. You have been my rock then and are still 2 of the most important people in my life. Also, thank you to my brother Troy. You have always been my biggest cheerleader and scorekeeper, and also was the first one to tell me that I could have done better at a tournament and pushed me to be better. Thank you to my husband, who back then was my boyfriend, who got to carry all my bowling balls everywhere. He hardly ever missed a tournament, even when they interfered with Packer games. Finally, thank you to my coaches that I've had since middle school, Tom Zernia and Dale Lehman. I would absolutely not be here without them. Some of my best college memories were of long bus rides, weekends bowling, and hotel stays with my teammates. They are an amazing group of women, and my college career wouldn't be the same without them. These have been memories that have lasted a lifetime, so thank you to them. I'm honored to be inducted into the Clark University's Hall of Fame as the first female bowler, and I hope there are many more to come.
Thank you, Morgan. Cindy and Gary. The Hall of Fame display can be viewed in the rotunda area of the Kiel Center. The name of each inductee with the year of induction is inscribed and displayed on the banners attached to the columns in the Kiel Center. Each banner represents one induction year. Today, you will be able to see 13 banners with a total of 63 inductees. The Hall of Fame will continue to grow over time, and we are especially proud of this class and each new inductee. To conclude our ceremony, I would again like to thank our inductees for their contributions to Clark Athletics. Each of you holds a special place in the history of Clark University. At this time, we invite Hall of Famers, introducers, families, and friends to the reception in the Kiel Center following the ceremony. Thank you.